Somebody can mute their thing,
Section 2.
please. Somebody mute whatever it is that there. Thank you. All right, welcome everyone. Somebody can mute their
Section
thing,
2.
please. Somebody mute whatever it is that there. All right. Thank you so much. And I welcome you to this is our second meeting, but we've been meeting online. If you have not joined the, let me record on here too. Let's record here on cloud. Okay, so let's see how this works. So welcome to the Wellness second Zoom meeting. This is our second Zoom meeting that we're having, where most of you have logged on to Facebook group and you have joined our Facebook group. Because we have about, I think, 28 of you now on the Facebook group, even though just few of you are active. But today is our second meeting on Zoom. So welcome. Today it's on self-compassion. But before I go into self-compassion, I just want to say that last week when we talked about wellness, how many of you actually downloaded the wellness wheel? The wellness wheel that was on Facebook. If you have not downloaded I see that hand up. Put it in the chat box if you have downloaded it. If you have not downloaded the wellness wheel, that is very important that you download it, because it really helps you evaluate yourself and also gives you things to focus on during the weeks and during these 21 days in terms of the dimensions of health and the dimensions of wellness. Has anyone actually read it or has any? Okay, I see some people. Somebody said, okay, Moni said she downloaded. Moni, when you downloaded, did you actually engage with the material?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Hello, everyone. I did.
All right. So what jumped out at you? What was it that is your take home for last week?
Last week, my take home that I shouldn't try and do everything at the same time. Don't engage in everything at the same time. Do maybe like 2 or 3 at a time, maybe 2, so that I don't risk, that. So when we go past the honeymoon stage, there's that trying stage that is like almost always getting challenging, or I'm about to give up. So that if it's too much, then I will easily give up. But if I do just 2 or 3 at a time that I can easily handle, then I can go to more later.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. And if some of you heard her, and if you heard her talk about honeymoon stage, that was in day number, I think it was day 2 that I shared that on the Facebook page. And so if you're not on there, you can go take a look at it. And it talks about forming habits. That's what she's talking about. This was a habit forming and how there are different stages to habit forming. And so that's what she's talking about. Thank you for sharing that with us. Dele, I saw your hand up. Go ahead. You're muted.
No, not me.
Oh, so you didn't have your hand up. I thought I tried somebody else. Who else had their hand up? All right. Let's see. I thought Beams had her hand up. Oh, somebody did. All right. Cool. So if you have not yet participated in some of these things that we're talking about, give yourself that gift, because on that Facebook group, I have something about self-regulation on there for last week. It's a video on self-regulation, learning self-regulation through self-attunement. It's a video from YouTube. And then we have making right choices. We have the habit forming conversation. And then I did a video on day 3 or 4 about Are You All In? So it's all here if on the YouTube, on the Facebook page. So make sure it's like a whole bunch of resources available to you. And I know like Winifred has been sharing this on her pages. So don't just read it, like share it with your own community members. Yeah. If you're all in, put in the chat box that you're all in. If you're all in this week too, I want to hear people saying I'm all in. Are you all in? Yes. Let's see if you're all in. Okay, I see I'm all in. I'm waiting for the rest of you. All in, all my all inners. All right. We're all in. Let's just unmute yourself and say it out loud. I'm all in.
I'm all in.
Let's come on, everybody, unmute yourself so we can say I'm all in together on the count of three. Wait. On the count of three, we're going to unmute ourselves. All right, are you ready? Yeah, unmute yourself, and on the count of three, we're going to say I'm all in. 1, 2, 3.
I'm
Go.
all in.
Excellent. All right. Okay. So now we're moving. So we did all of the 8 dimensions of wellness last week. And for those of you who are watching this live stream right now, if you have not yet learned about the 8 dimensions of wellness that we talked about last week, join our Facebook group. It's actually called JARS Thrive and Win group. It's and Vince, put it in the chat box, please, and put it on YouTube. It's actually called JARS Thrive and Win Facebook group. Join it, and you will have access to the recordings from last week, and also some of the things that were done that were done last week. So for the 8 dimensions of wellness, I'm not going to try to quiz you too much today, but how many people remember the 8 dimensions? At least if you remember at least 1 or 2 of the dimensions, just unmute yourself and let me hear you. If you remember any of the dimensions from last week. Oh yeah, people. Let's see. All right, okay, unmute yourself. Go ahead and say it.
Spirituality, finances, career, recreation,
environmental. There you go. So we have the emotional dimensions, the social dimensions, we have the occupational dimension, intellectual dimension, the financial dimension, environmental dimension, and spiritual dimensions of wellness. So those are the 8 dimensions of wellness. So when we're talking about 8 dimensions of wellness, it then makes sense that everything is included. Everything is included. Everything. It's your spiritual being. It's your financial wellness. It's how you relate to people. It's how healthy you are in your spirit, soul, and body. It goes into all dimensions of life. And this month, in case you don't know, is Wellness Awareness Month. So this month is about wellness. We're all in, and we're going to be making right choices in our lives, and we're going to live a better life today. And today I also have someone who's going to join me and to talk about the financial dimensions today. But before that, right, I want you to determine today that you're not just going to be a listener, that you're literally going to be a participant in this process. That you're not just joining me on Facebook, on Zoom, just to hear me, but that you actually engage in this process. And Ayo Giwa is going to join me. Mr. Ayo Giwa is going to join me. And I actually told him before that I was going to share my PowerPoint first, and then we're going to talk. But since the financial dimension was from a last week conversation, let's finish that. And then I go into self-compassion. Ayo Giwa, are you going to be ready for me in about 2 minutes?
That's fine.
Absolutely. Well done. That's what I like. To be ready all the time, be ready in season and out of season. So when we're talking about just to remind all of us about the financial dimensions from last week, when we talked about financial dimensions, we talk about finding satisfaction with your current and future financial situations. So yes, you might not be where you want to be, but what is the worst thing you can do is to grumble, is to be so dissatisfied, and to put yourself into a state of fight or flight. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you need to cultivate satisfaction even now, even when it seems as if you don't have everything that you need. So I learned something a long time ago, or somebody was sharing this, and they said, if you live in a one-bedroom apartment, and you want a house, you don't want to buy a house, so you just live in a place where you're not really, this is not where you want to be. The worst thing you can do is to curse that place, so, belittle that place, and just get yourself all wound up negatively. Now I understand this in a psychological way. I understand what that means. I understand that when you are in a state of negativity, you're going to attract to yourself the very thing that you don't want, right? Because you're building neural pathways of negative negativity around that thing that you don't want. Yeah, of negative energy around that thing that you don't want. So this person talked about it from a spiritual aspect. They were saying, well, bless the place that you're in, like bless and thank God for this one bedroom. It has sustained me up to this time, even though it might not be where I want to be, but I'm glad I have a function in this. I have a function in that. And that way, you then begin to bring the blessings to you. But let me tell you, the way I see it, it's not just a spiritual thing. When you're in the throes of negativity, it is impossible for you to think creatively. So what happens is that areas of your brain that is attuned to creativity, to finding opportunities, are offline or minimally reduced because you're now you've activated the fight or flight response. And for those of you who don't know what that is, in terms of exactly what happens when the fight or flight is been activated, I say take one of our classes or workshops so you can understand this. So what happens is when you get into your emotional zones, the emotional part of your brain or the survival part of your brain, that's all that your brain is going to do. Your brain is literally hijacked. And when it is hijacked, you cannot flourish the way that you should do, you should. So you can be a market woman. We went to the market, to the open market in Lagos, in Oyo State, in Ibadan, in Nigeria. And I was talking to market women. And I was talking about how trauma impacts the brain. And I said, have you seen a market woman who comes in and they're so creative, and they take the same thing that you're doing and they drive it to the end, and people go to their stalls and people gravitate to them? They said, yes. I said, because they're functioning in their executive function, this part of your brain that gives us learning and meaning and creativity and empathy and all of the things opportunities, that brain is activated. So no matter where you are in your finances today, I want to encourage you to begin to pivot in the way you see it. Begin to turn on appreciation and gratitude and the goodness of you having a place. You're not on the streets, and even if you're on the streets, you're not dead, because at least if you have life, you have meaning. So when you begin to do that, you begin to do it. You might not necessarily believe it yet, all right? But you begin to see it, and you go into what we call meditative states. You begin to really meditate. Meditation is how you change your life. Meditation is how you change your life internally, and then it will manifest externally when you take the appropriate steps. It's in meditation that you create neural pathways of learning, neural pathways of living. Meditation is literally the power to imagine and create neural pathways that are different from the ones that you had before. Neurons that wire together will that fire together will wire together. So let me say that again. Neurons that fire together will wire together. So which means anytime you have energy going up in the brain section of your feelings and your emotions and what you think about, and you do that over and over and over, those neurons will wire together, and that's what we call neural pathways. Are you listening to me? So if you're constantly activating neural pathways through negative parts of your life, that's what's going to happen. Then how do we activate those neural pathways? Through your 5 senses. What you see, what you feel, what you smell, what you touch, what you taste, that's how those things are activated. The good news, so when you stay in your apartment or when you stay at your work that you don't like, right? Or your friends that mess you up or whatever, when you stay in those negative states and you experience them, those neurons are going to wire together because they're constantly firing together. So the way you change those is that you begin to imagine. I believe that imagination is one of the ways God has given us to change our lives. You need to begin to activate your imagination. A lot of people do not use their imagination well. They don't imagine a better life. They don't imagine this. And that is why confession sometimes doesn't work, because you can confess until you are blue in the face. If you have not seen it internally, it doesn't mesh. Are you seeing what I'm saying? So if I'm saying if you're saying I'm a peaceful person, I'm going to be peaceful, I am peaceful, I'm at peace, and you keep saying all of those things, right? But in your head, it's war zone. You're completely at war with yourself. You're mad at people, you're this. That confession will not change your life. So you have to go to a place of mindfulness and meditation where you actually get to imagine those things that you want. See them, be there. Honestly, guys, this will change every areas of your life. I'm a Christian. My worship changes because of imagination. I don't just sing songs. I don't just say, oh, Lord, you're good. No, it's no. I literally see those things. I imagine myself in places. That's how I build my life. Are you listening to me? So begin to practice imagination during your meditations. And this will get you in a place of peace. And when you're in a place of peace, then you can begin to create, you are open to new ideas. You're able to practice intentionality of whatever steps that you need to take. And that is how we're going to change our lives in 2023. Does this make sense? Yeah. And so get away from the negative affects and the negative emotions of what you don't have and begin to have excitement about what could be in 2023. If you agree with that, put a yes in the chat box, right? So financial wellness encompasses all areas of our wellness that pertains to finances, right? And that includes knowledge and skills. So you need to have the knowledge. You need to know what you're going to imagine. If you don't know what you're going to imagine, you're just going to go there and you'll be like, this is so boring. That's because you don't have the knowledge base for your imagination. So you need knowledge, and then with knowledge, you're going to acquire skills, right? For financial planning, and managing your or your expenses. This year, right, I want to quadruple my finances. Yeah. So I'm not just going to say that. I need to find the knowledge to be able to do it. Then I need to practice it, right? So after the call last week, Dele, called me and was like, you were talking about this finances. Have you also looked at areas of insurance and the way, you manage that? So I invited him today to have a conversation with us about it, because we had a powerful 30-minute conversation last week. And I want you guys to actually also benefit from this, because he has good stuff. It's not trying to sell you anything. It's just trying to help you in how you plan in your financial planning for 2023. If you're ready, please let's highlight Dele so that you can join me on this. Let's add, okay, there we go.
Thank you very much, Peter, for having me. I'm going to start by telling you a story. This really happened. I parked my car on the street, and somebody that was semi-drunk just passed by my right and then scratched it. So I got the guy to stop. Incidentally, the driver happened to be my former driver. Before I continue, how many minutes do I have?
We have 15 to 20 minutes on this.
Okay, I'm just going to put my alarm on. I can round up at 15 minutes. Okay, so I have to ask him to give me his driver license, the vehicle particulars, and all those stuff. The guy was begging me and said, begging me and all this stuff. I said, no, this is not about you. You have an insurance for a reason for your vehicle. So let the insurance, let them come to play. So I picked the stuff, took pictures of the accident, of the scratches on my vehicle, called my insurance broker, and it dealt with it. Okay, now, what am I saying? On our path to financial freedom, before we get there, we need to do certain things. Okay, we need to do certain things. We need to take some steps to prevent hardship for our families, especially for those of us that are married. We need to take steps to prevent our families from hardship in case of emergency. Death happens, sickness happens. Okay, we need to take steps to also pay ourselves when we get to that time of retirement. So I'm going to explain it in this ways. A young couple, husband is 30 years old, wife is 25 years old, they have a mortgage. If 2 years into the marriage, the husband passes away, we're assuming that, say the husband is the breadwinner, is the one going to work because the wife is busy nursing the children. Okay, if it happens that the man passes away, then the wife will be in a difficult position because the income that the husband has been bringing in to maintain the family will disappear. If the husband does not have a life insurance in place that will replace the income that the husband has been bringing in, the wife will suffer. They'll probably lose their house. So now, for a 30-year-old man that's planning to be financially free in future, need to start to do something right now. Okay, Now, we talk about savings. Let me touch on savings. Saving is good, but even in Nigeria and in North America, you want to put money into savings. They don't give you more than 1 to 2%. Look, compare that with the rate of inflation. Inflation right now is about, if I'm right, about 7% in Canada. Now, if you put money into savings and you're getting 2% interest rate per annum on your savings, you're not cashing out. The value of your money is going down. Okay, so let's go back to protecting yourself using an insurance product. For a 30-year-old person, a 30-year-old male not smoking, and a 30-year-old female non-smoking, the insurance premium that you would pay as a man is going to be higher than what you would pay as a woman, because from statistics, women live longer than men. Okay, I just want to ship that in. Now, there are 2 types of insurance that you can take. Say, for the same death benefit in an insurance, a 60-year-old person would probably say, let's say the 60-year-old man is taking an insurance of $1 million in case he dies. The guy will probably be paying about $4,000 or $5,000 a month. But for a 30-year-old guy who took the same insurance for $1 million in case anything happens to him, the guy will be paying about maybe $50 a month. Now, what is this telling us? The earlier the better is the case, because the possibility that a 60-year-old guy dies in the next 30 years is there, compared with a 30-year-old person. Now, let's delve into what kind of insurance product that you should take to protect yourself and protect your family. We have what is called the permanent insurance, we have what is called the temporary insurance. The temporary insurance is called the term insurance, and it's usually very cheap. The permanent insurance is what we use in North America to do estate planning, to plan for the future, to plan for retirement. Okay, now let's talk about the term insurance. The term insurance is very, very cheap, as I said. While you are working your way to financial freedom, it's always good for you to support yourself with a term insurance, just in case if anything happens. You might have a rider on top of it. What rider means is that you can have critical illness, just in case if you're critically ill, something to replace your income while you're recovering and all those stuff. Those are the riders. So if you think you can be financially free in the next 10 years, or you feel that your mortgage payment will be completed in the next 10 years, you can take a term insurance to cover that 10-year period that you want to do that for. Just in case if anything happens, sickness or whatever, you want your family, you don't want to be thrown out of your house while you're still alive, or you don't want your family to be thrown out if in case you're dead. So you take that term insurance to cover you for that period. However, the permanent insurance is what you use to plan for your retirement. It's an insurance product that have investment in it. And there are different categories of that too. There are some of them that would, if you put money into it, the company that you are working with that is maintaining your policy will be paying you premium. I'm sorry, will be paying you dividends on a yearly basis. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the permanent insurance. There are two types. Luckily, you guys in the US have a better product than we have in Canada. Yeah, there are two types. There is a universal life, there is a whole life. For the universal life, the joy there is that you have a period of time to pay your premium. Now, the universal life is an insurance policy that have investment inside it. And the investment in the policy from records averages about 7%. There are some of them that does over 70, that does over 7%, like 20, 30% in a year, depending on the kind of product you are set up on. Now, the investment you have in universal insurance and all life insurance is in stocks. Okay, it's in stocks. And you can, if you follow the way the stock market move, it goes up and down, it goes up and down, it goes up and down. And the fact that, yes, the fact that you are putting money on a monthly basis give you the advantage of the dollar cost averaging, in the sense that when the stock is low, because you're doing on a monthly basis, you'll be able to buy low. Okay, now, if you are able to, okay, I'm going to step back a little bit. So the premium you pay, the investment you do in permanent insurance, if you want, you can pay it for the period of time that is designed for, or you can pay it for a shorter period. I will give an example of a 40-year-old guy that is putting $1,000 a month into investment for himself. By the time he's 65, which is the retirement age, he will have put in about $300,000. At 7% interest on a yearly basis, the guy is going to have about 1.7 million dollars at age 65. Not only that, the guy is going to have about $1.5 million in death benefit. I'm going to explain that, because you have to say, okay, so the guy has $300,000 in 25 years that he has started the policy. Okay, and because the interest is compounding, the money grows. At a point in time, if the money grows beyond the death benefit that insurance has, right, the insurance automatically increases the death benefit. So the moment you take on a permanent insurance policy, that very first day, you will have a death benefit that will be attached to that insurance. So if you start with the $500,000 death benefit, which is going to determine how much you pay on a monthly basis. If you start with a $500,000 death benefit and you're doing $1,000 a month, if the person died the second day, you get the $1,000 back, plus the plus a $500,000 death benefit. But the death benefit grows as your investment grows, because if your investment grew higher than your insurance, it will attract tax. So invariably, to avoid the tax, your death benefit goes up. All right. Anyway, so I'm going to round up right now. I have one minute. So it is very, very good for you to way to financial freedom. It's very, very important for you to plan things that will help your family, will help you in case anything goes wrong. In case of sickness, in case of critical illness, in case of people have cancer, for instance. If you put critical illness rider in your insurance, the moment they discover you have cancer, the insurance company will pay you a lump sum amount of money. Say we have a rider of $50,000, for instance. The insurance company will pay you that $500,000 and $50,000 for you to go take care of yourself. You know, so I'm going to just stop right now. As you're working your way towards financial freedom, do something to protect yourself and your family. The thing that did not say that I missed in running my mouth so far is the fact that when your investment in the permanent insurance grow, you can actually borrow out of it. You can borrow out of it. You can buy houses. You can put deposit down for the house of your dream. You can put deposit down for investment properties, such that when your investment property make money, you can pay that money back to the insurance. It doesn't affect your premium. It doesn't affect your premium. It doesn't affect your death benefit. It's just a way of you becoming your own banker, because you can go in there, borrow the money, do whatever you want to do, and they pay them back. You know, the investment grows again, take the money out, do the same thing. So I'm going to drop the mic now for.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have some. I'm sure we will have questions. Let's let me change my view so I can have everybody. I can see the gallery view. Okay. Now, thank you for that. I think one of the reasons I wanted you to talk about this, because you start with the young people too. You talk about 30-year-old, and I know that I shared this with my children after we had a conversation.
Oh.
Yeah, I shared it with them. So if you have children in their 30s, even 20s, it's not too early for them to start doing this, because remember what he said, if you start at 30-year-old, you're paying $50, but for the same thing that somebody else will be paying $1,000 for in their 60s. Does this make sense? Am I correct about that? Yeah.
That's correct.
Absolutely. So, but one thing that people always want to know is, are these insurance companies, okay, for us in the United States, we have FDA, FDIC, I think, insured or whatever it is. Are they insured so that if they go bankrupt, I mean, I don't know, something happens or they close down, what happens to your money?
That is a very good question. Especially in North America, all insurance companies, they have another insurance company insuring them.
Okay, good.
So you're not losing your money.
Another question I want to ask is, if somebody doesn't have a home, for example, they don't have a mortgage, right? Is it advisable for them to also then do this investment in the universal life thing that you're talking about?
Oh, definitely. They're going to retire one day. And the money that we're getting out of it when they retire is going to be tax-free.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it is good.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of people who die, and people have to raise money for them. They have to raise money for them for their burial, for this, and people never think of death. They never think to plan for death. So this is one of the reasons I really wanted to come and talk about this, because I don't want to die and people start raising money to bury me. You know what I mean? That is not how we want to do this life. So it is, I lost my my mother, she's not my biological mother, but very close person to me who I consider a mother. And a few days before she died, I had lunch with her, right? And she had planned for everything. She had picked out her plots. You know, she had her insurance, she had everything. And I knew this before. I knew that before because she had been telling me about all of these things. You just have to get ready. But the day we had that lunch, I remember her telling me, you know, everything is in place. If I ever die, you guys don't have to worry about anything. Everything is planned. This is where the books are, all of those things. And who knew that a few days after that, she was going to die, right? And true to self, she had planned everything. That is the way to die because the insurance company paid for everything, right? And the money, the death benefit, like you were talking about. So I think that this conversation, especially Christians don't like to talk about it. Sometimes they think, you know, I reject that in Jesus' name, you know, those kind of stuff. I think it's stupid for you not to plan and to now make people who are you're living behind, you not put them under some kind of burden. Right. So I think this is a way for you not only to take care of your own state when you die, but for the children and for all those people that you're going to leave behind. So thank you so much for this. Any questions in the group, please put, you can raise your hands or mute yourself or put it in the chat room. Any thoughts and any questions about this? And if you found this relevant and so let's hear from you. Anyone? Are you all there? Are you all still here?
They're muted.
You're all muted.
Yes,
Are you all...
yes, we are.
Okay, good. Oh, Toro, that's you. I'm glad you joined. Any thoughts about what has been shared, or any questions or any thoughts before we move on?
I wanted to say that I live in the UK. Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. I live in the UK, and I'm just wondering if everything you've shared applied exactly the same way. I'm going to research and find out anyway. Like what you said about debt benefit, the fact that you can borrow out of it and use it, and it will not affect your premium. I was just wondering if everything applies exactly the same way here, or maybe similar. But it's very helpful what you've shared. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. What's the name?
Monisola. Moni.
Okay, Monisola, thank you for that question. I believe that every advanced country have something in place similar to that of North America. So all we just need to do is to do a search, you know, and find out what products are available in the UK for you.
Yeah, it's also I know it's also in Nigeria, by the way, because I'm part of a Nigerian insurance thing from my old school. We all partake and we buy this insurance. We pay for it every annually, I think it is. And it's not expensive, honestly, for what you get. And I think everyone, at least over the age of 30, should be thinking about this. And okay, so how do you respond to people who say, look, I don't even have money in savings. I'm still struggling to see how I'm going to feed my people. And you're talking about insurance. That is not, how do I correlate that? It doesn't make any sense. How would you respond to somebody like that?
Okay, let's put it this way. Assuming that person has the Volkswagen, okay, and on his way to work, somehow somebody crossed the road and he turned his steering to avoid the person, and then there was a Maserati on the right that he didn't see, and he hit the Maserati. Okay, now if he doesn't have an insurance on his vehicle,
Maserati, that we're going to just use that. Okay.
Okay, so whatever the case, I would say that is a necessary means of us protecting ourselves.
Okay.
How small the income is, let's find that product that can maintain us in case something happens at that particular level of life that we are in.
All right. And the final question I want to ask is, you kept saying that something about retirement. You said permanent can be used to plan for your retirement and is an investment product. Because when most people think of insurance, you think of death. Like you're not going to use it until you die. What do you mean that, like, retirement? What does that? How does it impact you when you retire?
Okay, so thank you for that question. Let me first of all say that the temporary insurance, if somebody does not die, there is no payout.
Mm-hmm.
But that expires. But the permanent insurance, the moment you take that policy and they calculate your premium based on what you want to be putting down. Say if you say, okay, I want to be putting down $500 every month, and I want my death benefit to be $300,000, for instance. The moment they do the calculation and see that everything works out well, which, of course, depending on the insurance that you're taking, they will check your health status, be sure that you're not going to die tomorrow. You know, you're not coming to that because you know there's something that is an underlying sickness that you think might take you away, and that kind of thing. They will do all that investigation. So the moment you take the policy, that very first day you take the policy, there is a percentage of the policy that goes into life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
That percentage, though very small, okay, but that very first day you sign on, they take that check from you, the death benefit will be activated immediately.
Okay, I get that part.
Yeah.
It's the retirement part I need clarification.
I'm building now. So if you pay that money for over 25 years, assuming you're 40 years old and you're paying $1,000, so that's going to be $300,000. Because that money goes into a combination of stocks,
Mm-hmm.
that money grows.
Mm-hmm.
So when it grows, let's say it grows at an average rate of 7% per annum, that gives you about $1.7 million
Mm-hmm.
at age 65. Meanwhile, at age 65, all your total contribution is $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Now, at age 65, it's already grown to $1.7 million.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance company will start paying you about $60,000 on a yearly basis, $5,000 on a monthly basis.
Okay, I see. Okay, that makes
sense. That is the retirement thing.
Okay. So it really makes, this can be empowering for women too. You know, I think for women, I think we need to really start looking at this as a way that you can build up for your own self, you know, because women sometimes when either they don't have the additional help, especially single women, when you don't have additional help, or the other single, widowed or separated or divorced or whatever. I think this is a way for you to plan for your life, right? And so somebody might say, I waited too late, because you're saying things like 40 years. What if I'm 50 something years old? I'm retirement age is 65. Was this still advisable for me to do something like this?
Absolutely. So I'll use myself as an example. When I came into North America, I didn't have the knowledge I have right now. Okay, so So it is important that whenever you get into an environment, get financial literacy like that straight away, because the laws are totally different. Okay, but however, it's just going to be more expensive for me because of my age.
Okay.
Than for somebody who is younger than me.
Okay.
By the way, you don't have to wait for 30 years till you are 30 before you start. You can start at age 50. In fact, you can start your child at age 1. You understand? So you can start at age 18. You know, so the earlier the better, because if the policy I have right now, I took it when I was 40, right? The death benefit I will have had will have been like triple what I have right now.
Correct.
Do you understand?
I hear
you. But however, the investment will grow, and that investment, when you get to the end of retirement, the insurance company will reach out to you, ask you how do you want your money. You can actually collect everything if you want. And the advantage of it is tax-free. If you have put your money into real estate, the government is coming after you, and they're going to take 50% of your capital gain.
Yeah.
You understand?
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's appreciate Ayo Diwa, please, in the chat. And thank you for this information. I hope you still stay with us. I just want to introduce self-compassion today, and we'll talk more about it on Monday. Self-compassion is doing one of those things that Dele has told us, or actually, you know, explained today. That's also about self-compassion. You have to have compassion on yourself sometimes, right? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to have this conversation just briefly, and because next on Monday we will then gather around this. Don't forget Monday at 11 a.m. my time. So figure that out in your time zone is when our next meeting is. So self-compassion. Let's look at the PowerPoint. Let's see. PowerPoint. Here we go. You all see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, well, you also see my Thrive thing. Oh Lord, hold on. How come I can't get this off? Okay, there you go. Okay. All right, so self-compassion. There you see, this is our week 2. And I'm really so excited about this one because, ladies and gentlemen, this is, I think, something that we have to learn. We have to learn this. We have to learn this. We have to learn to really have compassion on ourselves. And I'm going to explain to you what it is and what it's not, right? So we're going to start this. Give me one quick second. All right, that's what I've been trying to do. So we understand that. Wait, why am I saying Moni? Moni, I'm seeing you instead of my face. What did I do wrong? Hold on. Maybe I should. Okay, let's try it this way again. Okay, that's what you want to do. That's what we want to do. All right. So when we're talking about self-compassion, we understand. Let's just say what it is. You know, self-compassion is kindness to yourself, right? Kindness to yourself. There's this Kristen Nerf talked about 3 dimensions or 3 interrelated concepts of compassion that we need to think about. She broke them down into 2 parts, right? The first part is how I behave towards myself and how I react to negativity. So how I act towards me and how I relate to negativity. But these concepts are being kind and understanding towards yourself. So you're kind and you're understanding towards yourself instead of being self-critical. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. And then seeing others' fallibility. We want to look at other people's limitations, other people's weaknesses as part of a larger human condition, instead of isolating it and saying, oh, you just did that. And then holding one's painful thoughts and feelings in mindful awareness, and instead of avoiding them. So let's see what this all means. So here is what I'm talking about, right? It's that, number one, you are kind to yourself. You're kind and understanding towards yourself instead of being self-critical, especially when trauma is involved. People become very critical of themselves. You know, you should have done more. You should have done this. You should have done that. You have all of these things which say to ourselves, you didn't respond to that properly. Why didn't you say this? And why didn't you do that? Right? In fact, sometimes we're kinder to other people than we are to ourselves. We're kinder to other people than we are to ourselves. You show mercy to other people. You're compassionate to other people. But this 2023, I want you to say, I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm going to be kind to myself. If, for example, you are a rescuer, someone who is always rescuing everybody else. You're a rescuer. You're always rescuing others. You're the one that goes to church every day. You're the one that that everybody calls for something. You're the one who always has all the answers. And if you are that person, you are tired. You are exhausted. Can I tell you this? You are exhausted already, because it is impossible for us to live at this kind of state where we are the ones always in charge, and our bodies and our minds are going to rebel against that at some point. Are you with me? If you're with me, just put it down there and say that I choose self-compassion this year. I choose self-compassion. I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm going to be kind to myself. So that's the number one, is being kind and understanding understanding your own self and your own situation. So this is one of the things I'm trying to say. Watch this. If you came from a very tough background where you had to overcome so much adversity, right? So many adversities in your life. And then let's say you're now 40 years old and you start comparing yourself to other people. Well, how come I have not achieved? How come I have not done this? How come I have not done that? You'll start comparing yourself. Well, that is not kindness. That is being critical to yourself. That is not understanding. Understanding means that you understand where you came from. You understand the challenges that you have to face. And you, because of that, can say to yourself, well, look, you might not have A, B, C, D, but because of the place, look where you came from. Look at all the stuff you had to overcome. Look at all the stuff that you had to persevere under in order to even be here. Some of us need to celebrate because we have not lost our minds. Can I get a yes on that? Like, some of us need to throw parties because we have not lost our minds. because the places that you have been, the situations that you have been in could literally have taken you out. They could have literally messed you up. So how dare you then begin to be the one that is your own enemy by saying, by complaining about yourself, being critical about yourself and all of that. No, this year, the first person I want you to be kind to is you. See, when I see people who are always talking about other people, who are always, you don't have compassion or cannot find themselves to give grace, I know that is a person who is critical and very unkind to themselves. And sometimes you might not even say it out. It's what you think. You're always thinking this. And some of you, maybe you grew up with people, or you've stayed with people who are constantly putting you down, who tell you how fat you are, how clumsy you are, how you're not going to amount to this, and all of these things, how you're not educated enough. Why come your mates are doing this and you're not doing it? If you are hearing this all the time, constantly hearing it, did you know that even when you move away from that person or those people, that record is still playing in your head? Because remember, I told you earlier, the neurons that fire together will wire together. And when they wire together, they stay wired together. Are you with me? They stay wired. So even if those words and those things happened 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 40 years ago, they still stay there. It will still stay there. And then it impacts the way you see yourself. So you literally have to fight this. And we'll talk about how do you fight this on Monday, right? But the first part of self-compassion, like I said, is being kind. So not just only being kind, but being understanding of yourself. Understand who you are. Understand where you've come from. It's so easy to be judgmental about yourself. It's so easy to put yourself down. Why can't I get it together? How come everybody else is doing this? No, we're not doing that this year. So put that in the chat box. No to the no. We're not doing this year. No to the no. You know who I'm talking about. Understanding to yourself instead of being self-critical. That's A. The second part of this is seeing your weaknesses and your inadequacies, seeing them as a part of a larger human condition and experiences, right? Instead of, oh, it just happened to me. Look, come, let me tell you. I got news for all of us. Let me tell you a secret. I tell my clients this, right? We are all going through stuff. Either we've gone through it, we're going through it, or we're going to go through it. Let me say that again. It's either you've gone through it, you're going through it, or you will go through it. It's part of the human condition. It is part of the human condition. Yes, it's going to happen to you too, Mr. and Mrs. Christian, Mr. and Mrs. whatever your religion. I'm telling you, it is part of the human condition. In the world, you will have what? Tribulations. It is part of the human condition. So see your fallibility, see your inadequacies as part of this big human adverse normality. And then if you see that, it will answer the why me question. It would answer the why me. How come I've been such a good person? I have done everything I've been asked to do. I've been such a good person. I've gone to church. I've paid my tithes. I've prayed. I have done this. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? I did everything you told me to do. And then how did I find myself in this place? I was a good girl. I was a good boy. I was this, I was that. And then this mess still happened. We all have had those questions sometimes, because sometimes we think that it is our goodness. Our goodness can override the human frailty or the one or the human condition. It doesn't. It doesn't. Stuff happens. Good things happen to bad people. Bad things happen to good people. It is part of the human condition and human experience. You can do everything in your power to do what you can do. But there's this big world out there that we inhabit that's by itself frail, by itself adverse, and we inhabit those. So yes, it's going to be you. Yes, it's going to be the person next to you, but you can understand that in that context. Is this making sense? Is this making sense? Yeah, I don't want to continue if it's not. So it's making sense to you, right? All right. So that is one thing. So when things happen to us, instead of spending time in the, oh my God, why me? Oh my God, why not you? It's going to happen to somebody. It's going to happen to somebody. What we don't want to be is to be crushed under it, right? To be crushed under it. It's going to happen to somebody. And then the third thing is holding your painful thoughts and feelings in mindful awareness. Let me say that again. Your painful thoughts and feelings in mindful awareness. This is important. Why is this important? Because a lot of time we never look at our painful thoughts. We don't want to go there. We don't want to take a look at them. And then what happens is they become drivers of our lives because they literally submerge into your unconscious mind, and then they begin to drive your life, and you don't know why you want to go to California, but you find yourself in New York. Like, how did I get to New York? That's because you have those unconscious drivers that are moving you where you don't want to be, but where the template says that they need to go, right? So the way to reverse that is by being aware. What mindfulness means is pay attention. That's all mindfulness is. You know, when we think of mindfulness, we think of doing, that's not mindfulness. Means that you are mindful about this moment. And it is the opposite of mindful. See, two words, mindful. That means your mind is so consumed, it's so full of all kind of stuff. Mindful means that I'm going to pay attention to now. What's going on with me now? I'm going to pay attention to now. So if I would suggest to you, those of you that are listening to me today, just take a minute and look around where you are sitting. I want you to just take, and I'm going to time it. Don't do it yet. And you're going to see how long this will feel like for you. But so don't do it yet. Just wait a minute until I get my timer out, right? And I want you to pay attention to what's around you. Like, just look at the room attentively, like you've never done before. Take a look at it. And we're going to do it for 2 minutes. You're going to take a look at it, and then we're going to come back. That's your assignment for right now. You're going to take a look at it. If your mind starts to wander, bring it right back into the room. Are you all with me? If you're with me, please let me know so that you're all doing this. And then when you're ready, say, I'm ready. You can unmute yourself to say, I'm ready, or you can put it in there. Are you ready? Only one person is ready for me.
I'm ready, man. I'm
All
ready.
right. All right. Okay. I see. Okay, good. All right. I'll tell you when to start. Don't start yet. 2 minutes. And you cannot drop out from this 2 minutes. And all you're doing is paying attention to your surrounding. You cannot drop out. When you find your mind wandering, bring it back. Pay attention. Look at the details. Look at the sounds. Look at everything. All right. 2 minutes. 1, 2, go. There we go. 2 minutes. Let me even play music for you. You can stand up and walk around, but you're paying attention to that room, nothing else. You're paying attention to the room. For those of you who just joined us, we're practicing paying attention. Okay, 2 minutes over. Two minutes over. All right, so how many of you struggled to not to look at your phones or your computers? Tell me your experiences. Let's hear from you. I am waiting. Ayo, go ahead.
I actually noticed some things in my office that I didn't put right there, so I use the opportunity to arrange it.
There you go. And how long have you had that office?
Forever.
There you go. Exactly.
Back for the past 3 weeks, you know.
There you go. Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
who else practiced this? How was it for you? Let's hear you. Moni, go ahead.
I was thinking, oh, I need to get some tiered organizers and organize some things in my room and declutter. Yeah, I managed to focus.
You managed to focus. You managed to bring yourself back. Thank you so much for sharing that. And one more person, anyone else who doesn't have their screen on wants to tell us, you can also put in the chat box so that you don't have to talk. Tell us what your experience was. Just put in the chat box if you don't want to speak. But before I go, anyone else wants to share their experience? Are you all with me or not?
Yeah, with you.
Who said we're with you?
Okay, I will go.
It's me. For me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead, Shay, go ahead. Was it?
Yeah, so I started looking around and then my mind started wandering. Because when I noticed things, I started thinking, oh my gosh, so I don't have this here, I don't have this here, I need to go, and I have to pull my mind back and just focus on looking at my surroundings.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. What you have all just practiced for 2 minutes, that's what mindfulness is. It's basically about paying attention to the moment. And when your mind starts to wander, you have to bring it right back and pay attention. You know, usually we go around with our minds full of stuff. We're thinking about 20 minutes, especially if you're a woman. A woman's brain is wired differently. We're very interconnected, right? When I teach anatomy class for my undergrads, You know, when we're talking about how the mind of male and female brain is wired, the female brain is wired interconnectedly. We can think about things. You can think about different things. So when you're talking to a man, a male, they usually the way they are wired is very linear, one draw at a time. And this is how I usually explain this. You know, so let's say you have a couple. I don't know how many of you are married or you're in a relationship, right? So you have a couple, let's say they're male-female couple, right? And the wife says, you know what? I want to talk about how you leave the toothpaste cap off, you know. So that's what she says she wants to talk about, toothpaste, right? So the man's brain and mind works in this way. As soon as he hears that it's about toothpaste, the drawer is going to open is the toothpaste drawer. Are you all with me? So because it's like, okay, we're going to do toothpaste, so I'm going to talk about toothpaste. This is how this is going to work. For the woman, toothpaste was just a way to start the conversation. So by the time that woman is finished, she has talked about the toothpaste, the cap left off, what they ate at dinner 10 years ago when that happened. And also your mom doesn't really like me because and then your friend did this. And by the time that conversation is finished, the guy is really perplexed because it's like, how did I get sucked into this? This was supposed to be about toothpaste. So when we talk about mindfulness, for women, it's even a lot more tedious because our minds are just that way. They can complicate things, think about too many things at once. And we need to really begin in 2023 to decide that this is not how I'm going to have my mind, because you do not prosper in war zones. And some people their minds are war zones. So intentionally practicing mindfulness and meditation will really help you get to this point where you can free yourself of all of that junk that happened in 2023 and in 1904 or in 1985, you know, things that we're still carrying. And by the way, if you are really struggling, get help, you know, get in contact with us and we will help you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Nobody needs to suffer alone. Nobody needs to suffer alone. And I know that we only have about 5 more minutes. So if there are any comments or any questions, please put it in the chat box. But we're just dealing with self-compassion today. We're going to talk a lot more in depth on different areas of self-compassion on Monday. So self-compassion is your own self-attitude and how you treat yourself. How you treat yourself. How are you treating yourself this in 2023? Treating myself with warmth and understanding, even when during difficult times, right? And understanding that I'm also a part of this fallen system called humanity. This human experience is not easy. This human experience is filled with its own suffering. This human experience has stuff happening that we don't understand. And just because you've prayed and fasted and all of this doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. So don't be discouraged when those things happen. You know, how come this is happening to me? It's no longer a question you ask, but how can I be kind to myself during this time? How can I be kind towards myself? How can I treat myself? Sometimes, you know, when you're in the ICU, what do they say? There are any nurses here? If when you're in the ICU, that's not when you're thinking about work. That's not when you're in the ICU, you're not thinking about, all you're thinking about in the ICU is what? How to get better. Some of you and some of us need to put ourselves in ICUs, you know, of the mind, where we say, okay, this time it's just to clear my mind. You know, we all go through what we call the dark nights of the soul. I remember when I had one of those a few years ago, right? But I was like, okay, so what do you do now? Okay, you practice what you preach. You know, you practice what you preach. I would have lost my mind during that time and stuff. And I just said, okay, shut everything down. closed everything down that I could, apart from work. So shut anything down. And I just remember nurturing myself, just doing the things that I'm telling you to do. One of the things I did during that time was, the scriptures. I couldn't do all of the, let's deep dive into this verse. What does it mean? But one thing I did do, what I was just reading it as a literature book. I just allowed myself to just listen to things, listen to music, make sure I was doing all of the self-care. I knew I needed to do this. I had to do it. So when you are in intensive care, you need to make sure, this is understanding yourself. You can't be acting as if everything is okay when everything is not okay, right? And then slowly but surely, the healing started happening. And then one day I just looked back and I was like, oh my God, I am completely healed. Completely healed. Nobody had to lay hands on me. Nobody had to do this. These are practices. These are practices. There is what I teach my therapist students, my clinicians in either the master level or the doctoral level. I teach them. I said that every single process has to be healing. Every single one, every single of those, every point of interaction has to be healing, right? Healing for you. So the songs you sing, the foods you eat, anything, every single point of interaction has to be healing and graceful for you. So if your home is chaotic, don't worry about that home, worry about you. Once you are no longer chaotic, then you begin to fix the outside. Does this make sense? Yelling at your children about, you shouldn't do this, and all that yelling in the house. It's about you. It's not about them. It's never about the other person. Not saying the other people are perfect, but it starts with me. It starts with me. So self-compassion starts with me. Let me hear yes, yes. Let me hear it starts with me. Okay, how many of you choose self-compassion this year? Just raise your hand if you do. Well, I can only, let's if you can show me your faces, then I can see your hand, but if not, put in the chat box. Yes, okay, I see more people are showing their faces. All right, so we choose self-compassion. We choose self-compassion. I choose self-compassion. No, and I want us to really think about that. Take a deep breath, breathe in and out. Let's do one more. I choose self-compassion. I will be kind to myself this year. Let's say it, please. I choose self-compassion. I will be kind to myself this year. Enough of self-judgment, enough of condemnation, ruminations, isolations, withdrawing from life. I will be kind to myself this year. And on Monday, we're going to look at the different ways of self-compassion. You look at your inadequacies and your difficult situations that you're in, and you see them as part of this human frailty. All right. So I will see you. And if there are no, thank you for saying that. I say it. I say it. I say it. Oh, it's, what does healing look like? Oh, is that a poem, Winifred? Winifred just shared a poem. Oh,
yes, but it's not from me. It's from Lisa Turkers. She has a book about boundaries, which I'm currently going through a study of the book. So boundaries and saying goodbyes. So that's the poem. That's beautiful. From her.
It says, what does healing look like? It looks like tears, it looks like tears, facing fears. Oh, I like that. You know, it's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful read. Thank you for sharing that, Winnie. And all right, so if there are no questions or other comments, we are 1.5 hours and we will be ending. Please join the Facebook group. It's a closed group. I share a ton of information there on the Facebook group. And I will see you Monday. This Monday is our next meeting. This Monday is our next meeting at 11 a.m. my time, which is 7 p.m. in the UK, which is in Nigeria, I think it's 8 p.m. So figure it out. For Ayogiwa, it's 10 p.m. I mean, it's 10 a.m. So you're an hour ahead of me, and on and on. Does this make sense? I will see you on Monday. Yes? We'll see each other on Monday? Let me hear yes, yes. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
I will see you then. Have a blessed day.
Thank
You
you.
too. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Auntie Grace, welcome from Nigeria. I see your face, so you're shining. You're blooming. Well done.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. All right. See you all later. Thank you. Daly, thank you so much. Oh, he left. All right. Bim, I'll stay back. Oh well. Sharon, you joined us a little bit late, so we're off now. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Oh, thank you for stopping the recording. Mary, are you new to us?
Yes, please, I am.
Welcome.
This is my first time. Thank you, Mom.
Please join our Facebook closed group so that you can get updated during the week too. We'll see you on Monday.
All right, Mom. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night. Bye.
All right. So, Busaya, are you there?
Ma'am, please stop the live.
Oh,
Ma, do you want me to stay?
yes.